Hey, welcome to this video. We're doing SSTP VPNs, which is a video I've already done before, but this time, instead of generating the certificates on the MikroTik and downloading the CA, the Certificate Authority, we're actually going to use Let's Encrypt, which is a free SSL service where you can use them for your websites and various other things. But yeah, just a bit about SSL itself. So if we have a look on here, basically the way an SSL cert works is we have the internet. Let's just get a better color. Let's go for black, it's easier. Okay, we have the internet. We're over here and we want to get to this web page here. So this is a server, a web server. So we make our request and it sends us back. So we make our request via the IP because we looked that up with DNS, but we're making this using HTTPS. So the S is the secure bit, which is obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, 443. Now, to validate that this is the correct website I'm going to, we would then do a check, which basically checks that the domain, so domain.com equals our IP. And then to do that, on our web server, we're going to have an SSL cert. So we've got a certificate there, which basically is living on that server, which will be served to us when we, as part of the handshake process between that. But to validate this certificate, this has to be signed by a trusted CA, a certificate authority. Now, there's for public SSLs like this, there's going to be multiple public ones, which will be on your machine. It will have a list of them already there, trusted public ones, of which Let's Encrypt is one. Encrypt. Now, the way I did it before on the other version is on the mic. So this is very similar to the exchange of communications that's going to happen between our VPN client and our VPN server, where all of our traffic is going to be transmitted over this 443 encrypted tunnel. So basically what we're doing again is we're going to verify that the IP address against the domain that we're connecting to is valid. So before, what we did is we generated this CA on a MikroTik and then we downloaded that onto the client's machine. So when the client checks against that certificate and it sees that signature there and it wants to say, is this the signature, the person that signed this, are they valid? This machine will say, yes, it is, because I have them installed as my trusted one. But to save having to do that, we can then use Let's Encrypt, a public SSL. Now you can do this with other providers. I'm just using Let's Encrypt because there's a built-in feature in MikroTik to install the certificate, to get the certificate, and there's also it's free, which is, in my book, useful. So this is why when we set up SSL, we don't install, we create a certificate on the MikroTik, we create the CA on the MikroTik, but we actually only install the CA on our computer. So when in this version, we don't have to install anything on our client machine. All we're going to use is our credentials, our username, and our password. And the actual certificate is used to validate the server we're connecting to, and then it allows us to send all of our data encrypted under HTTPS. Okay, so now that that's hopefully made it a bit more clearer, let's go ahead and check out our MikroTik. But before we do, we'll just I'll just show you the page that I've made for this. So if you watched any of my other videos, I have a website, mikrotikmasters.com, and then I try and put all my tutorials, so step-by-step guides against my videos. So you can watch the video, and then if you want to go back and actually implement what you've watched, then this is just an easier way of doing that. So this is kind of, I've amalgamated this. So I've also done another video about how to install Let's Encrypt. So this is kind of made up of two. So I will just be clear that there is an IP address at the very beginning, this one here, and then when you look right at the end, when we do our testing, is it actually a different IP? But the information in here is valid, so that's the main thing. So it's still, I did check it out and it still works. It's just that's the only kind of gotcha. So I will go through and update that at some point. but I thought it's just worth pointing out before someone else spots it and thinks that I've made a mistake. So yeah, so this is the first bit we're going to do. We've just basically it's easier just to copy and paste these, but yeah, I'll show you as we go through now. So my MikroTik is a CHR hosted in AWS. It's what I do for a lot of my demos. So this is going to be acting as my VPN server. It has a public IP address associated with it, but because we're going to need a host name, because that's the key point about the SSL, is it actually needs to, the SSL client, the VPN client needs to connect to a domain name to validate. So we're going to have to use, or we don't have to, but I'm going to use the cloud, IP cloud, which is their dynamic DNS feature. I know some people have reservations about using this because it does go offline from time to time. I would say if you are using this for business or anything critical, I would look to use something like your own. If you've got your own domain, use your own DNS for that. But yeah, if you just want to run this on your home network, or you're just testing stuff, then this, by all means, this is a good way to go. CHR is an application that runs on the virtual environment. So this is in AWS, but it can run on VMware. One thing to note, it's the way I've got this set up, and I've done a video on that, of how to deploy using the free tier in AWS. It means that you get basically a free MikroTik in AWS for a year. You get 100, maximum 100 gig, I think, to upload, download. But when you deploy this, it comes with a limited 2-week trial license. So you would have to then purchase a one-off MikroTik license. But again, that's covered in that. I'll put a link to that video about deploying in AWS, and that's all configured there. But if this is your home app or something, or your own physical hardware that you've got, then that will be included within the license. So yeah, so let's go. IP cloud, tick yes, apply, and then that will give me this name, which is unique to the machine. So if this IP was to change, it would always resolve to the correct one. This would then update these servers, which is a MikroTik owned domain. Okay, so we apply that. We're going to copy that. We can close that. Now what we do is we go to open our terminal, and we go certificate, enable SSL certificate. We give it the name. I'll try that again one more time. Domain name, which is that one we just used. But again, you could use something. Say I've got MikroTik masters as my domain. I could have vpn.mikrotik masters and just make sure I've added that IP address into that. And we click enter. It's going to go away and get our SSL cert. While it's doing that, I will show you the firewall, because this is important. We need to actually allow 443 and 80 through, firstly, to get our certificate. So although all our traffic and our VPN is going to be running on 443, so that would have to be enabled anyway, 80 is needed to get this certificate. So you could have a script that basically disables this and only enables it when you want to update this, because I'll show you in a second that this is limited for 90 days. So every 90 days you're going to have to rerun this script, which we're going to put into a scheduler, in fact, which I'll show you in a second, so I'll go for all that. But yeah, just make sure you've got these two firewall rules added, so port 80 and 443, and I've just specified it from my in interface, and then I've accepted that. So in my in interface is my internet facing network, so my WAN. Okay. If you do use WebFig, I don't like WebFig, but I prefer Winbox. But if you do use it, you've obviously now opened that open to the rest of the world. So if you don't use it, do what I would do and just disable it like that. Or if you do use it, specify your internal network here, so your LAN or whichever LANs you want to connect to it from. Okay, but if you don't use it, just turn it off. That's the best way, and then no one can attempt to log into your MikroTik using WebFig. Okay, so we've got our certificate, so I'll show you that now. So we go System Certificates. There we are. We've got our two. Let's encrypt one here. This one here, and as you can see, 90 days or 89 days. So what we want to do is we want to run this same part here, which we can do in a system. Well, first of all, create a script. Get rid of these two because these are old from other demos. So paste the script in there. Okay, don't require permissions, tick that. Okay, and what we're also going to do is I'll show you how to get this to enable and disable each time. So what we'll do is we'll go, we'll give it a comment. So we'll call it, let's encrypt. Okay. And then we're going to want to enable that rule. We'll disable it, enable it whenever we want via firewall. In fact, if you're ever unsure about the command, just type it on here. Firewall. Oh, sorry, IP firewall. Filter. Disable. Let me do square brackets find. Comment equals let's encrypt. Yeah, see that disabled that. Then we just do the opposite of that, which is enable. Okay, so what we're going to do is that's going to be disabled normally. We want to enable it, and then we want to, after it's done it, we're going to disable it. Okay, so apply that. We'll call that SSTP. Let's encrypt something. Okay, apply. Now let's run that script. That should enable that. It's already enabled. Probably going to get a new certificate downloaded. There we go. And then it disabled it. Okay. So now to make sure this runs every, well, we can do it every 80 days or something. We go system scheduler, and then we just put the name of the script in there. Copy that, paste, it's going to run that. And then we want it to run every, so days, so these are hours, minutes, seconds. So we're going to do 80D for day. We'll just call it scheduler, let's encrypt. Okay, so next time it's going to run. So it started today and it's going to run next in June for me because I'm on April now. Okay. Right, so that means we've basically not opened up 80 to the world. If we weren't using the SSTP function, then we would do the same for 443 if we were just trying to get the certificate because we were using it for something else like our hotspot or our actual interface on the MikroTik itself. But we can go ahead and close all that now. So we've got our certificate, we've set up our automatic renewal of that certificate. Now we can go ahead and do our, we'll just set our IP range up first. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a bridge for our, so we've got one for LAN, we're going to get one for our VPN bridge. Okay, then we're going to give that bridge an IP address. Beauty of these bridges are, they're like a loop back, they're always up. 1.254.1/24 VPN bridge. Okay, now we give that an IP scope to give out. So we'll call this VPN pool. And we'll go 1.254.10 to 1.254.20. Okay, so it's going to give that out at that IP range to my clients. Now we can do the SSTP server. So start off with this SMTP server here. Start by enabling it. We're going to specify our certificate as that one we've just downloaded. Okay, that's all we need to do on here for now. We leave everything else default. And then we want to create a profile. I always do a separate profile for all my different VPN services I've got running. So I don't mess anything else up. Our local address is going to be 10.1.254.1, which is the IP of the bridge. We can go for that VPN pool. That's the IP it's going to give out. Okay, and we can leave the rest. Yep, unless we want to specify the server. We want to give out the server, the machine itself. We'd specify that in there. Otherwise, it's going to use your whatever your machine's got locally. Okay. Yep. Oh, hit cancel. What a pain. SSTP profile 10.1.254.1 VPN pool. Okay, so that's our profile. Now we can create our secret. I'm going to do give it my name, which is Andrew. Call it Andrew SSTP. To differentiate, I'm going to use SSTP as the service. My favorite super secure password. I'm going to take hide off. Hello world 123. Obviously you would use a secure password. Profile is going to be the SSTP profile. Now if we wanted to give it a dedicated IP address when it connects, then we could put one in there. It could be outside of that scope range if we wanted, as long as it's within that /24. But I'll just get whatever is given to me. Okay. All right. And that's it. So let's do some testing. So we go VPN. Add a VPN. Connection name SSTP server. So we need that. We actually make sure we use the domain name, not the IP address. Type SSTP. So you see SSL, so like secure socket, but this is the tunneling protocol. Username password. So we did it Andrew-SSTP. Not equals, wasn't it? It was dash, and then password hello world 123. Save. Let's go ahead and connect. Bang! Nice and quick, nice and easy, nice and secure. And then we just bring up this. Do IP config. There you go. It's giving me .14 for some random reason. Not sure why. Active connections, there you can see me there. So when I try and ping, because I went into access, if I trace route, yeah, it's going to my. In AWS, it's always it always drops the first packet, so don't be alarmed about that. But after that, we should be getting. There you go. It's routing out of the AWS network. Which, if it wasn't, I would be going out my local one. So if I just kill that disconnect, just to prove that I am not just talking nonsense. There we go. So that's going out of my local one. So yeah, hopefully that's clear. Nice and easy. Using that SSL cert, it just gives you it's less stuff to do on the client, and it's just a bit more neater and easier. You just need to give out username and password to the client. So if you were using, in a Windows environment and you were using corporate machines, then you could push certificates, and you would probably have your own signing certificate authority. So that would be different for corporate side, but we're talking your average user, maybe a home user or a network where you may be using different devices. You wouldn't want to. Some people have Android phones, iPhones, and you want them to connect as well, and you don't want to have to give people certificates to install all the time. So yeah, this is definitely a much easier way of doing it. And yeah, and it's still obviously tunneled, it's still encrypted. It may not be as secure as something like an IKEv2 IPsec, which you do need to transfer a certificate to the client machine, but it's all about your use and your requirements, and your level of security required. So yeah, any comments, please leave them below. If yeah, if you use this before, it hasn't worked and you need some help, then let me know. But if not, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.